Hey everyone, welcome back. So I was off last week, obviously, so we got some miner news to talk about. We're going to talk about here is Luxfolio sells their miners to bring in some cash, but they're going to be hosting those miners. They're going to be making a little bit off of those. We'll get into the story there. We'll also take a look at Cleanspark is buying more miners, so they're growing their hash rate, which is good. We'll take a look at that story. Hive blockchain also announced that they're going to be possibly providing their financial results come, I think, Monday. We'll take a look at that story as well, see what that means. And then Bit Digital, obviously June production update, we'll do that as well, and we'll call it a day. In the previous video, I went over Bitcoin as far as where it's going this week. Right now, it doesn't look too good. There might be a possibility where we fall down. You can watch the previous video that I uploaded today, probably around, what is it going to be, 4 o'clock Standard Time. It's going to be going live. So you can see that one, and obviously if you want to know about Bitcoin, Ethereum, where things are going, you can look at that. And the miners versus Bitcoin, see how they did for the week against Bitcoin in that video. So, as always, you guys know the drill, not financial advice. I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And let's get into the first story here, which is on Luxfolio. So, Luxfolio to launch emerging mining while reducing debt and optimizing operations. Obviously, nothing here in the title for selling miners, but here's what we got. So, Luxfolio recently closed the sale of 100 petahash, or approximately 970 cryptocurrency mining machines, ASIC miners. As part of the sale, the miners will continue to be hosted by Luxfolio under a 2-year immersion hosting agreement. We don't know who is obviously buying these. I was trying to see if maybe the buy that Cleanspark did was somehow related to this, but it doesn't look like it. The numbers just don't add up. Under the 2-year immersion agreement, the sale reduces the company's debt by approximately $3.2 million, which is pretty good. It allows the company to continue to mine Bitcoin on the overclocked petahash of the miners placed in immersion cooling and provides the company with steady revenues via hosting fees. So that's good. So based on that, so if we know that they had, basically they sold 970 miners for $3.2 million in revenue. That comes out to be approximately 3.3 thousand per miner. So per miner, this is what they got for it. Hopefully, they're not getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Hosed on this, I guess you could say. Depending on how much they actually paid for these miners, if they were actually, in an agreement that if Bitcoin price, or if the miners fall in price, when they get them, price is going to be coming down. So hopefully they didn't take too big of a hit on this. But it's obviously a lot cheaper for these miners than we have seen obviously in the past. In the past, we have seen miners being as high as around 10 to 12K coming in from Antminer is obviously the big one, Antminer, and we've seen it from others as well. But those are the big guys here, and we're actually seeing a lot of miners now on the spot market coming way down in price, which is obviously good for anybody that's in a good position to be buying right now, which it looks like Cleanspark is, which we'll get into Cleanspark here after we finish up the main story here. So let's see if there's anything else in here that's part of it. And it's basically to help them out. So it looks like they were a little bit cash strapped possibly, but it did obviously lower their future hash rate. And we're not covering their current hosting as far as what they host. So that's not going to be in here as well. But I did have them at roughly 366 or so future hash rate petahash. Current hash rate is at 180 petahash. We have not received their June production update yet, so I'm still waiting on them. And the other one that I'm waiting on also is Mawson. Mawson usually provides their updates usually in the middle of the month sometimes, for the most part, right around the 15th. So I'm thinking they might provide that this week coming up. But back to Luxfolio. So they sold 970, so I had to remove some of the miners here that we did have in here. So we did originally have 500 here to be installed possibly sometime this year, along with 100 here. And we took out 370 here to get us to the 970 miners that were sold, roughly. So that did obviously lower us down for the future hash rate of 266 petahash. Excuse me. So they're pretty much 67% operational right now for their own self-mining, which isn't good. I'm not a big fan of hosting. I know that obviously brings in a little bit of revenue, but it's minuscule compared to what you get from self-mining. But if that's what they got to do to survive, then so be it. That's what they got to do. Right now, the stock is trading at approximately a P ratio of 1. If everything stays the same, we're looking at possibly, Bitcoin price stays where it's at with the current hash rate that they do have without any future increases in that. We're looking at them possibly making roughly, for the full year, would be around 7.8. But they also have a weird timing for their quarterly reports in February, May, August, and November. So that would get us up to 8.2 million roughly by the end of the year on that. So we're looking at a price to earnings multiple of 10, 75% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at maybe a 71 cents stock price on them. And that all depends, obviously, on where Bitcoin goes and everything else. So not good news for Luxfolio, obviously. The good news is actually that they got rid of some debt. But bad news is they had to lower their hash rate, future hash rate, to do it. So it's never a good sign. We'll see how that continues on, or if they continue to sell other mining equipment as well. They don't have much to sell left. They do have, what do we have here? We got all of these installed, so we do have 860 or so left of these miners that they could possibly sell if they needed to. But hopefully they don't have to do that. Okay, so that's Luxfolio. So not good news there. We'll keep an eye on it, see what happens there. And the interesting thing is obviously CoinMint is, not CoinMint. CoinMint is in the other story. So we'll get into CoinMint there on that one. Okay, Cleanspark. So Cleanspark expands Bitcoin mining capacity by over 90 petahash with acquisition of latest generation miners or machines. So Cleanspark today announced it has acquired 1,061 Watts miners M30S machines that are already mining Bitcoin at CoinMint's renewable powered co-location facility. So this move adds about 93 petahashes per second to their system, which is good. Zach Bradford commented, "We are seeing unprecedented opportunities in this market," which obviously we've seen this with spot prices of Bitcoin miners going down. So they are obviously taking advantage of this as best they can, it looks like, which is good. That's one thing that I like about Cleanspark and why I'm invested in them is because they do sell majority of their Bitcoins, excuse me, mined each month. And then they don't have a lot of debt. And when they do see opportunities, they can get in on them. So that was good. And the company bought the machines at a substantially discounted price compared to the spot market price from just a few months ago. And that is also what we're seeing here. They also got 1,800 of the Antminers S19 XPs from last month that they purchased. Those are the 140 terahash miners at a pretty good discount as well. Let me see what else was there. So that was it. So based on that information, let's take a look at Cleanspark really quick here, see what we have for them and where they're going to be at. Cleanspark. All right, so here are the miners that we basically installed for the month of July. It looks like if things stay where they are, they could be possibly at around 7.8, 7.9 million in revenue this month in July compared to 6.8 million that we have estimated here for them in the month of June with adding these miners here. And then these are obviously the miners, the 1,800 miners that they purchased from Bitmain in June. Those are obviously supposed to come in August through January. We'll see if that actually happens because of shipping delays and everything else that's going on in the world economy. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not. But yeah, that obviously gets them to approximately 4.5 exahash once everything here is installed right now. And they still obviously have quite a bit of machines to get installed, which is good. So that leaves us to be at approximately, where are we at here? About 64% installed right now from future hash rate. They're at 2.9, pretty close to that 2.9 exahash. Future is going to be obviously 4.5. And if they keep getting these kind of good deals on the miners, I could see them easily getting to maybe 5 or above 5 exahash by the end of the year, depending where Bitcoin obviously goes and how things react with the miners going up in price or going down in price. I think as long as Bitcoin's going to be in a sideways trading trend line, basically, I think the price of ASIC miners is going to come down to where they're going to be $3,000-$4,000, like we're seeing, being sold by Luxfolio. So it's obviously a good time to buy in, especially since those miners used to be like $10,000-$12,000. So it's a good thing, especially for those that have cash to do it. So that covers Cleanspark. So looking forward to seeing what they do with going forward And we already covered them as far as their production for June, so you guys can check out that video. It's in my playlist to go over that. All right, let's see what the next story is here. The next story, Hive blockchain. So Hive blockchain provides update on delayed annual filings. These were supposed to be back in for, I think this is their March, end of March reporting that they're supposed to do this for. And we're obviously already in July, so they're quite a ways off from having provided that information. So yeah, for the year ended March 31st, the annual filings. So the company anticipates being able to complete the annual filings on or before Monday, July 18th. So July 18th is obviously coming up here tomorrow. It's actually, so we'll see if they actually release that information, or they might even release it tonight. If they do release it, we'll go over it tomorrow, see what happens, see what the numbers look like as far as debt, what they currently have as assets. We'll take a look at all that stuff and see if there's any possible warning signs or any issues that Hive may have. Also, continuing on here, the company does not currently anticipate any further delays stemming from the delayed filing of the annual filings. So hopefully once they get this one out, they can get, well, then we'll be in, obviously, for June. So maybe in August, sometime August or September, they should be able to provide Q1 for them, which is end of June, I believe. So hopefully they get this sorted out, get the information out to us, which would be good as well. So that's all on Hive. And let's take a look at BitDigital. So BitDigital announces monthly production update for June 2022. This is actually a pretty good update from them. I'm liking what I'm seeing here as far as what they're doing, at least right now. They have been struggling to get the miners installed for a long time here, since last year, since obviously what happened in China with the mining ban. They've been trying to get their miners over to the United States, which they do have them here, but getting them plugged in to with hosting companies has been a challenge for them. So in June 2022, the company earned 67.6 Bitcoins and 0 Ethereums. Treasury holdings of BTC and Ethereum was 860.7 and 313.6 of Ethereum, and BTC was 860.7, with a fair market value of approximately 17 million and 0.3 million for Ethereum. The company owned 38,135 Bitcoin miners and 731 Ethereum miners, which are not running. They're having issues with one of the hosting locations getting power, I believe. So they have a total estimated hash rate of 2.7 and 0.3 for Ethereum. So they previously announced that they're doing a swap with Riot and CoinMint, and it's a little strange agreement. So under the hash rate swap agreement, the company received an approximate aggregate of 0.625 exahash, so 625 petahash, from Riot in exchange for 5 exahash. The first tranche of the swap was delivered to the company on June 17th, and the final tranche was delivered on June 28th. As of July 2nd, all of the company's newly acquired miners were actively deployed at the CoinMint facility. So we obviously, CoinMint being here with BitDigital and with Cleanspark, so CoinMint, we'll have to take a look at them, I think, in the future, see what they actually do and how they're doing. So on miner deployments, so during the month of June, the company continued to work with hosting partners to deploy miners. 23% of our currently owned fleet of, or 8,990 Bitcoin miners representing 0.7 exahash, so 760 petahash, was deployed in North America as of June 30th. So this is obviously a pretty big increase from where they were. And they are at 1.06 exahash deployed as of July 3rd, 2022, as a result of the aforementioned agreements with Riot and CoinMint. So that's obviously a good jump for them because they've been struggling really bad. So let's take a look at what we have for them as far as June production updates, and then we'll call it a day. We'll see what happens next week. So that was BitDigital. Let's go over here. So BitDigital, obviously, let me zoom this in. All right. So we'll start out over here. So shares outstanding, 82 million. Current PE right now looks like 23. It's at $1.62 for the stock price. Market cap is 133 million. 14% operation or institutional percentage owned, 82 institutions. 52-week high was $20.74. 52-week low was $1.19. We are currently at $1.62, so we're not too far off that low right now. Current hash rate. This should be updated. Oh yeah, 760. That's right, 761 roughly. So that's correct. Future hash rate 2.7%, operational is 27%, so that's good. They have a ways to go. Number of miners is 8,990. BTC HODL 860, which represents about, at today's dollars, about 18 million right now. HODL to market cap is about 13.69%, and each share has 22 cents right now of HODL position, basically. Looking at the production updates. So in May, we obviously had a pretty big drop in hash rate because of, I think they had an issue with a power plant, or not a power plant, but a substation, the caught fire at one of the facilities that the miners were being hosted at. That obviously dropped them down to quite a bit, to about 457. I think they were even less than that. And miners installed was obviously less. But in June, we had a good increase on that, 760 petahash, 303 petahash increase basically from the prior month, and 8,990 miners installed. So there was an additional about 1,280 miners from the prior month. BTC obviously went up 67 from 53, which was good as well. They went down a little bit on the BTCs per petahash, down to 0.08887 from 0.1168 in May. And I think that's because in May, obviously they were mining for a while, but then they had an issue with the power supply, and that obviously affected that. So I'm hoping once they get a full month's worth of these miners being installed here, that number should go up a little bit better, or should be better, in my opinion. Value, I came up with about 1.35 million in revenue for the month, and that's based on the end of June price, which was pretty low. The end of June price was around, what was that? Let's take a look at it here really quick. June was 19,985. Obviously, if they are using daily values for Bitcoin, it's going to be off a little bit, or even weekly, it's going to be obviously off. So they might be a little bit higher than that if they use the daily values for reporting revenue. So they could be at about I would say maybe 1.45, 1.5, somewhere right around there. We were off a little bit. Last one, we were a little high, actually. From the Q1 report, I had them at 8.8. They came in at 8.5, and that might have been from the Ethereum that they're also mining, which they're not mining now. So this is just based on the value of them mining Bitcoin right now, 1.3. It doesn't look like they sold anything as far as Bitcoin is concerned. I do have them at 783.6 at the last month. This month at 860.7. That represents half a Bitcoin being sold. So if anything, they maybe earned $9,000 or $10,000 on it, possibly, if they sold it. But it might be just a rounding error on my part. And then going down to the miners, actually, it gets a little complicated here. So we had to do some splicing and trying to figure this out to get them to where they are right now. So obviously the Ethereum miners are not mining. I did have to bring them down to 21 days here for the miners and 22 days to get them to the 1.35 million possibly, and the speed of 760 petahash with 8,990 miners. So I broke that down. So looking at it from April, you can see the difference here, hopefully, on the way this worked out. So in April, they were at 573 petahash. In May, they had obviously the issues with the hosting company, so they were down to 457 roughly. We're estimating on that one based on how much they actually mined Bitcoin for that month. And now with the current news that we do have, that they're at 760 petahash and 8,990 miners. I'm thinking that they probably got rid of these miners here, which are the 59 terahash and the 19 terahash or 20 terahash roughly miners that aren't as efficient, and they're keeping probably the 63 terahash miners along with some of the obviously they're going to keep the 100 terahash miners here. But in order to make it work out, this is the way I kind of had to split it up in order for the numbers to match up with what they're reporting. We got that obviously going forward. So next month, if everything stays the same, or the Bitcoin price is the same, obviously they installed even more. They're over at 1 exahash now on it. That's going to increase as well for July. So July, if Bitcoin price stays the same, they install even more miners into 1 exahash. We could be possibly at like 2.3, 2.5 million in revenue depending on where the hash rate for the network hash rate goes and whether it goes up or down. So something to be mindful of that, but I think it's going to be a good increase. And we do have a slight decrease here from the prior month in May. Obviously, Bitcoin price was a lot higher, so we do have a little bit of a decrease here by about 300,000 or so to June. But hopefully in July, we'll be back up. But you never know. Bitcoin goes down, we're going to be down anyways. So that is it. Obviously, oh, and institutions. We did update institutions. We got one decrease in institutions from the prior month to 82. Shares did increase, though, to 11.5 million shares from 10.9. And percentage owned went up to 14%. And then for some reason I had them at 3.5%. I wonder if that's supposed to be 13.5% here instead of 3.5. Might have made a mistake there. But we still have, as far as buy recommendations, we have one buy recommendation, and price target is $4 for high, $4 for average, $4 for low. And then that's it. That covers Bit Digital as far as where they are right now. Stock price is $1.62, like I said. Right now, they are, $1.62. So based on my numbers here, they are trading at approximately right around a PE of 5, which is higher than most of the miners I'm covering here. And I think it's because they do have the miners in place. They just got to get them installed. So I think they're having a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Possibly a little bit more leeway with investors, I guess. Leeway. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. Basically, investors are giving a little bit more benefit of the doubt as far as possibly because of less debt. They have the miners, you just got to get them installed. So they're getting a little bit more of a premium, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say on that one. But where they are right now, where they're going to be, I can see them easily trading. Bitcoin starts going back up to about 10 to a 15 PE multiple. So that would get us to about $5.26 from where they are right now if they continue to get the miners installed. So a big if there. So that's what we're looking at right now. And we'll see, obviously, how things go. Things change pretty quickly here. Bitcoin could be down next week, down 5,000 for all we know. Right now on the chart, like I said, check out the other video that I did. It doesn't look good right now on the chart. We're seeing a pattern that's developed that we've seen before, and it's looking like it's going to repeat again within the last 30 days or so. So we'll see. 30, 60 days. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's it. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know. Hit the like button and subscribe. That's all I ask of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Also, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Thank you to them for all their support. And we'll call it a day. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Hive, obviously. What else we have going on next week? I have to check to see what else we got going on next week. But hopefully we'll get Mawson also reporting and see if Luxfolio will report as well. So we can finish up the miners for the month and do a comparison for the large miners, medium miners, and small miners. See how they all compare to each other for the month. And what else? I think that's it. Obviously, we all know the CPI data has been terrible last week. We came in at 8 point, or what did we come in at? 8.6? I can't even remember. Was it 8.1 that we came in at? 9.1. We came in at 9.1. But that was obviously pretty bad, so we'll leave it at that. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one.